And family, thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Kristi Sanders, major news network on Roku TV. It's Roku TV. Huh. Again? Did I just do this yesterday? Is Biden still the president? Oh, Groundhog Day. Puxatawny Phil came out, and I seem to be reliving this day over and over and over again, where Jackwagon Joe's just destroying the world daily. But we're letting it happen as Florida goes to. I've got 30 news events to bring into our topics today. SpaceX, the NG-20, made its 268th successful Falcon 9 Heavy return. And if we do this on a daily basis, we can get a lot of our gear into space that we really need to as soon as we get President Trump back in office. Israel is getting tons of problems. Number two, Israel is basically getting into a direct spat with Russia over hostages, and it seems like Israel will only release musicians. Three, Israel's getting in it with Saudi, but they're getting in it good. So there's certain people buttering up Joe Biden for F-16s. Saudi's one of them, and Turkey's the other one. For the French farmers, they're putting a whole bunch of merde on the blocks of the Paris streets. Qu'est-ce que c'est? Merde cabesse de Biden. Okay, number 5. 14 states now have pledged to deploy troops. We got Tennessee upping it there. Thank you, the state of Tennessee. We greatly appreciate that. In Texas, we got Kristi Noem is showing that she is Wonder Woman. She's deploying troops down there to Texas. And we got Ron DeSantis. All these governors are coming up here as the nation stands divided. 6, Ron DeSantis. He sends Florida troops, but he also sends his National Guard. Now, why does he do that? He does that because Biden could federalize the National Guard, but not the state. So they're there to create confusion. Now, if the state of Texas adopts the same rules that the state of Oklahoma adopts, well, then federal agents can be apprehended on site. Okay, so number 7. I want you to know, if you're a police officer, that your governor has abandoned you. The mayor, too. I couldn't work up there. You mean to tell me they're going to let a mob of hooligans beat up police officers, and you're going to then arrest them all and then let them back out on the street? You've abandoned your police force. And if they can do that to the police, what can they do to you? It's kind of like with this administration. If they can go into Trump's house and sue him and throw him in jail, what can they do to you? What can they do to us? We're like Russia back during the USSR days. Okay, so they basically then, I want you to know this, and this is from police testimony. They released these illegal aliens that beat up police officers on their own recognizance. No bail, just let them out. Now, OR typically is because, you have a home and a family, so we know where you might go back to in case we need to get you again. These punks literally flipped off everybody. And what do you think they're going to do next? I think you're sending a clear message to the rest of them that they can go out there and mob and totally destroy New York. And you also just sent a clear message to all the police officers there. Go to Dunkin' Donuts and have a coffee, because if they get you, they're just going to release them. That's what they're doing in LA, by the way. We're going to go over the jobs of a police officer a little bit later on. 8, I want to remind you, this mob attacked not just a police officer, but they attacked a lieutenant. And no deportation, 0 protection for the police. That means absolutely 0 protection for the citizens. You sent a clear message to the people of New York, because you sent a clear message to all the illegal aliens that are watching on their smartphones, their Obama phones, knowing, man, look what we can get by with in this country. So, and that just makes me want to say I feel sorry for Freddie Rubino for having to, and Chris for having to deal with you slobs and punks out there in their own backyard. So, migrants. There is a law in the state of Illinois. I want you to know this. So, New York is not the only state that sucks. Listen to this law in the state of Illinois. And if you own a business or a retail business, you're going to close it down because of the Safety Act. You heard me. They allow retail theft for illegal aliens in the state of Illinois. And it's under what's called the SAFE, in the letter T, Act. And they'll let them all right back out. They can do whatever they want to with you. These, they're high-tech thieves, too. They're robbing Macy's. A lot of them are Venezuelans. And they'll use magnets to undo magnetic doors. And they've got strip code devices. So they're high-tech thieves. And they're getting out on their own recognizance or the Safety Act, also in the state of Illinois. I'm going to show a dog robbery. It's a bulldog later on today, so that you can get a good look on it. And one thing about my friends and family, we got a good million grandmothers out there, so you're going to get an eye on this dog and report it, or use a 22, whatever you want to. I don't care. And let's see what else we got here. Uncle Ted Nugent's going to educate us about the ATF in a little while. Now, Israel, their hate, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. They're going to get annihilated through what's called the war of attrition. You'll say, what's that? I'm like, well, that's when they run out of resources and it goes hand to hand. And I'm going to throw some equations in there. Okay, so they're doing Al-Aqsa with Hamas and Al-Aqsa with Hezbollah. You know what's next? The entire continent of Africa. They got machine guns too, and they're coming for Israel. They're united with China. They're next. And then Russia. And keep in mind, China took them off the map. That's all I'm going to say, and this is some real stuff here. And it seems like I'm living the same day over and over, but I might have to ask Bill Murray about it. Or Andy McDowell. Let's see here. So, number 14, Israel loses Belgium today. They're so sick of their answers and what they're doing. And as I'm going to say, so Israel loses Belgium, New York loses its cops. I guarantee you, New York, your cops aren't going to be working there for you today like they were yesterday. Why should they? 15, there have been 4 Indian students that have been murdered in the United States in the last month. Tons of Indian students. If you go to Denton, Texas, and many of the universities, there's more Indian students there than American students, especially under this administration. That's wrong. I'm saying we need to kick out all foreign exchange students, period, especially the Chinese. Load them up full of American students. Why? Well, because we are every single form and fashion in the United States, and we need to take care of our own, period. Another $82 million made it to the Ukraine today. That's some more malarkey. I'm telling you, the fraud is never ending, okay? Never ending for Zelensky. Now, the Houthis, they want you to know that as of today, they've always been laughing at Biden, and they did 2 successful bombings on a U.S. ship and on a UK ship. And at the same time, Texas is also now laughing at Biden. So the Houthis are laughing at Biden, so is Texas, South Dakota, so is most of the United States that stands with the United States. For those of you that don't, you're in for all the illegal aliens. I think your citizens will vote you out, and enough said's on that. Now, one of the other countries that's kissing Joe Biden's butt right now, besides Saudi, is Turkey. But I want you to know that Saudi and Turkey have flipped for Islam. They just want this F-16 package deal. And we need to stop dealing and making these deals. They're also trying to approve Sweden through. The Muslims have not forgot about the Quran burning. Okay, so they just want to do this deal. They want to put Sweden on the map, and then they're going to go annihilate them. That's the word out on the street, and I know the word out on the street, so it is what it is. 19, Al-Qassam joins with Hezbollah. Like I said, the next Africa is the next wave, then China, Russia. Al-Qassam, Africa, China, Russia, to Israel. Israel, boy, Ben, you really bit off a big piece. And with Jack Wagon Joe and his track record right now with Afghanistan and the Ukraine, I don't know where you're going. We got a small plane that crashed, 21 here in Florida. And also North Korea has hit 4 missiles off in the last 10 days, and they did something called the fire arrow and also something from submarines. Their main target is Japan, the United States, and South Korea. Joe Biden visits East Palestine. He obviously has a paid-for organization there inside, but outside there's a complete riot happening. And Americans still want to harass Puxatawny Phil. I want you to know if you live up there in the state of Kansas. Do you? Topeka, Kansas, by any chance? Any Topeka, Kansas people there? Well, the reason why is I'm bringing this up is because your mayor in Topeka, Kansas has asked for illegal aliens and migrants, illegal aliens to flood your city to take city jobs. So newsflash, you're going to get a couple buses of these people up there, and as you can see, they're the same kind of people that beat up cops and molest children, so be prepared. And this is going to be coming to you from the Topeka, Kansas mayor. Now, I've also heard from very eminent, Alex Jones put this out, actually. I was about to say a credible news source. We all know who Alex Jones is. He says there's some white supremacists that are going to be going to Eagle Pass. I'm going to say something. I've done a lot of investigation on the 700,000 truck ploy. That's a Democrat government setup like January 6th. I've been right. Don't show it, period. What the government's trying to do is they're trying to hope people will start shooting illegal aliens so that they can activate basically a habeas corpus in the Constitution and take us over into military and keep them in there through that, and then basically seize our troops. He's going to try to nationalize it. So let them do their jobs right now. Let the governors do their jobs. Don't go down there and cause a riot, or you might give Jack Wagon Joe the ammunition he needs like January 6th, okay? I know what I'm talking about here. Do not go down there. That whole 700,000, there's only one truck. That guy's honest opinion was so liberal, I was like, you're not fooling me at all. He might be a vet, but he's liberal as they come. His whole thing was wrapped and paid for, and the brochures and everything else, it's phony. Again, if you're going to go down there, you do what I said. You contact the sheriff, you get deputized, you go into the county that you've been allowed to go into. Keep away from that area right now. It's a government trap. There are agents, provocateurs around there ready to ruin our country and our day. We are getting organized. I'll let Ted Nugent talk more about that here in a bit because he's battling certain people, such as the ATF down there as we speak. Okay. So basically they're getting into a spat over NATO and the UN and the Ukraine and why do we care? It's the laundromat of Jack Wagon Joe and Zelensky. I think we all know it. Zelensky gets me sick as we slide into World War III, and he doesn't care. Once you're going to understand that he's a Jewish agent of Benjamin Netanyahu and basically Jack Wagon Joe, and it's called Nancy Pelosi Jack Wagon Joe's Laundromat of bioweapons and hazard terrorism for the European continent. Okay, more on this. More states join Texas. We might have Arizona flipping to our way now, 27. Ron DeSantis picks up today 15,000 fentanyl pills pressed out to be Oxycontin. No kidding. So that just makes me think of things, including my good buddy that I lost. And I lost him because he thought he was going to take an Oxycontin pill, and it broke him into a coma and killed him. People shouldn't be dying all over the United States. 15,000 pills would have killed 15,000 people here in the United States. Don't tell me we're not being attacked. Okay, Florida is going to be sending 1 battalion of the National Guard, 1 battalion of the State Guard, and it is to created diversion and nationalization. The feds know this. 29, the state senator. Okay, he goes in. He goes into the Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson International Airport. Now, this is a state senator, okay, Colton Moore. He films them and a man in the army guarding them. Illegal aliens, they're saying they're legal, they're not. They're letting these people fly all over the United States. None of them are vaccinated. This is how they're spreading the super illness, my friends, here in America. We need to get these people out of our airports immediately. This is state versus the federal government, but you know what? There's been state tax dollars spent there. I suggest you get the lead out of your butt and get these illegal aliens out of your airports so they don't breathe the same air with their tuberculosis and whatever else they have. Get them out of our schools. Get them out of this country as fast as possible. I got a good way to do it. It's called get a boat. Yeah, get a boat, ship them out at sea, and say, there you go. Okay, so I didn't say take them all the way home either. I said start swimming, Pedro, or whatever your name is, and we need to get everybody out of here. So that's just that. So the state senator caught all of these illegal Venezuelans, and they're the same ones that look like the same type of punks that beat up our police officers. We need to get all of these terrorists out of our country immediately. We can't have our kids around it, and this is federalism at its finest. We saw federalism with marijuana throughout the United States from the implementation of California Safe and Health Code 1136 2.5 and SB 420 as the citizens have taken a 20-year battle from 1998 until today, and to where now there's just 2 states that hold out. Do you want the exact same war with illegal aliens? Because if we take a 20-year war to do it, game over. No country starting this year, and they know it. You see, there's people like me that have ideas, meaning we can print a whole new ballot. They're all out of there, and they know it, so they're doing a Hail Mary to destroy our country as we go. And that's exactly what's happening with the federalism thing that we're looking at right now in the United States of America. Now we're going to go over these individual topics here. Common sense also happens again in the state of Florida, and I tell you, certain governors are starting to shine. Who would you want to have your vice president to be? So far, we got 2 that are looking strong. That's Ron DeSantis and Kristi Noem. I told you they wouldn't be behind, the Wonder Woman would be right on it. That'd be Kristi Noem. She really kicks butt, and she knows how to handle business. And she's sending the troops down there, but as soon as you see her flying on that invisible airplane with their golden lasso, start quaking in your boots, friends. Okay, so they've made the transgender thing illegal, and there's already little snowflakes around that are crying because their feelings. These boys want you to realize that they want to be girls. And I'm like, well, do you got a pair of nuts down there? Okay, well, you know what? Were you born with the pair? Okay. It doesn't really matter to us. But yeah, you know, you're really not fooling anybody. Sorry. And it's just, honestly, we can't have snowflakes and their feelings of the 2% because let's say this person's crying behind me. Personally, you need your ass kicked, dude, because you want to go into a bathroom with my daughter, my grandmother, or my wife. F your feelings, kid. Period. So I don't really care what your feelings are. And that's just coming from me to you. If you're gay, you're gay. Go into the normal bathroom. People don't care. But we can't have mentally ill men competing with our women or going into their bathrooms, because we're going to have more fathers like me going to places they shouldn't because they know what's right and what's wrong. There are some women out there getting the job done. Here's one behind me. And she's defending this country. She'd make a fantastic speaker or vice president as well. I think you want a real speaker of the House who's got a pair. Marjorie Taylor Greene's got the biggest pair I've seen. She's gone around defending our president left and right. I'm going to let you know. And it has been amazing to watch her defend the country. Okay? So I just really want you to know Joe Biden's got some things that I think he wants to talk to us about here that he's going over. Joe?
Welcome back to North Carolina, Ghost. Appreciate it very much. I also want to mention Congressman Deborah Ross. Where's Deborah? This year, I just had my picture taken with her. That's probably why she left. No, all kidding aside. Anyway, she couldn't be here, actually. That's not true. I got it mixed up. Come on, man.
Okay, we'll check this out. These are Chinese migrants that are coming into California. Understand, I pointed this out. These are not your run-of-the-mill Chinese guys. These are specialists in the military. They're coming in pretty hardcore, too, through San Diego. That's known through Tecate. So that's where it is. El Cajon, it's Tecate. They just go about 50, 60 miles up away from the ocean. And then there's plenty of places the coyotes bring them in right through there. Tecate, the same place where Tecate beer comes from, yes. Okay, and basically, this woman is right there, and all these people got matriculated. You know, when I went into Los Angeles and was going through a drive-through, the lady dropped some change, and immediately 3 dudes from Africa came up, and they grabbed the change, and the lady was spooked in there. And I was like, does this happen often? She goes, yeah. She was like, and they were all straight from Africa. So we literally have thousands of people that have just illegally migrated into California. And look at this punk here. He just beat up cops and he's flicking people off. So is this one. Now, how do you feel if you're a police officer or if your son or daughter is a police officer trying to defend the country and we let 500,000 of these guys in? No, sir. No, ma'am. What are they going to do with our kids? Have they been vaccinated? I've never seen such entitled, disrespectful punks in my life, and I can't believe you let in so many of them. It's sickening. And it's out of control. It's out of control, and it's scary. Now, understand Saudi was the fist bump there. He softened the deal, okay? And so did Turkey. And it's specifically because they want to get a commitment to have our ships guard them in Saudi from Iran. So we got a part-time deal, but also then Turkey does it. But I smell trouble. I think that they want to pull this jackwagon away and keep a lot of our troops over there so we're undefended here at home. I also think that we need to bring our troops back to guard the border, stop pissing off the world, reestablish our refineries here in the United States, like up in the Bakken in Texas, dismantle the EPA so that we don't have a lot of stuff that we give to Saudi Arabia. And I'm telling you, we got to do that because my point is look, if you're from New York, if you're a police officer, they are basically going to let you get beat up. Now, when the citizens see that, and you're a citizen, what does that say about you? I'm telling you, the anarchy and the danger just shot up for you today by at least 50%. Aggravated crime's going to rise. You know I'm right because they watch TV. Word's going to spread. These aren't stupid things. They're illegal aliens. They're going to say, look, we're heroes. We're celebrities for doing this. They got pictures of us like flicking the world off, and they didn't do anything. And this woman behind me here, she's going to let us out again. So let's go out with like even more of us and stuff and just ruin the whole entire city. And they're going to. You see, this first action, first you let them come here on the wrong foot. Second, you let them get by with crime. Third, then you let them beat up our police officers. This woman behind me is a total idiot. She's an enemy of the state and has proved it. If I was a cop, I'd be like, what's the point in arresting him? Everybody we arrested, you just let go on their own recognizance. These people don't have a house and home here. How could you let them? How could these judges let them out? Oh, it's the same judges going after Trump? Figures. By the way, Fannie Willis and the other prosecutors, we're bringing you down for conspiracy. That whole group is. I told you I'd get you. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, the French farmers are throwing me at the cabeza. They basically think that their politicians are equally as good as Democrats. And as you can see, the tractors there are lined up. A lot of John Deeres, I noticed, because guess what? We really are the only country that makes stuff that just isn't CRAP from China. The world knows it. We feed the world. We need to slam the door on feeding everybody from China and say, c'est la vie, we're going to start making our own stuff again. We got to stop all trade with everybody that's not a sincere ally. Us trading with China might as well be trading with Russia. Why don't you let them make our war equipment, you jackwagons? Seriously, you seem to be that smart. Okay, Tennessee, you are sending your troops, and we got proof of it now, and we thank you. Okay, so that's happening now, and that is some pretty major stuff. So we got other states, and we got 14 states now, okay, that has basically come in to help us. And and that stuff that we're going to do. We have Ted Nugent out there in the field at the border. He's been confronted by the ATF. Ted, could you tell us about some things?
Quite groomed three-piece suits. I say, gentlemen, what in the hell does alcohol, tobacco, and firearms have to do anything? And I was wondering who the hell you think you are, that you have authority over an agriculture product, a beverage, and my God-given guaranteed right to keep and bear arms. You can't possibly think you have authority over that. Now gather your thoughts and give it your best shot to answer me. How do you believe you have authority over alcohol, tobacco, and firearms? Now, let me give you a little tip. You don't. I'm Rosa Parks. That's a bus seat. I get to sit on it. You might want to take the bedding off your head and try to act like a human being. We'll get more into this because it was awesome. I scared the living
There we go. And I'm glad you did. Glad. He scared him, he did. So there we go. This is what's happening right now in the Red Sea. More bombings going on. Now they're getting Chinese munitions. Folks, they're just testing everything that we got so that they can attack us here at home. Let's see how those U.S. munitions work in the Ukraine against Russia. Now China's stepping into the game. What do you really think's going on? But they're testing out that satellite program they just launched over Egypt I told you about the other day in connection with what you're seeing here. We got to be prepared here at home. I never thought again when I saw Red Dawn that they wouldn't have the parachute and we'd just let them come in. And our minds are going into very, very different areas. So those scumbags are back on the streets. And I told you, tons of Indian kids are actually experiencing racism in the United States. This is another story we got here. But the thing is, like I said, even when you're looking in Denton, Texas, it will create animosity when you have maybe 50% of your students coming from India or another country. I mean, aren't we paying for the University of North Texas? Why do we have so many foreigners in our school, period, Abbott? You see, the only reason why we're going to close these doors down is because people start to speak up about it. We don't have the education facilities for our own kids because we let too many of these foreigners in. I'm in for kicking them all out. So again, the way they want to run this story is there's hate over here, and I'm like, you know what? I want to get all the Chinese and the Indians and the Russian students out right now, and every country that we have a problem with. All the Venezuelan students, all the students from Syria, every place we're bombing, we need to basically not have an open matriculation thing happening. Now, I'm going to let you know Trudeau has legalized car stealing in his own country, and they're talking about what an alpha male he is, so I'm going to let this guy talk. Are you going to say something?
On auto theft, but it's actually tripled in Toronto, and it's up by 100% in Montreal after he brought in catch and release and house arrest for car thieves, and after his incompetence allowed our ports to spin out of control and our cars to be exported to overseas crime and terror networks. Why doesn't he reverse his policies instead of another meeting?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Speaker, this is a serious situation. Canadians are concerned about this, and the Conservative leader just chooses to whip out his empty slogans and continue to blame everyone while we're getting to work.
All right, here's a little lesson for all of you kids out there. Be on the lookout for dudes that look like this. This is Fidel Castro's son. He's a plant that's operating up there in Canada. You wouldn't want me down here in the United States meeting a guy like that because you'd think it's real funny as you watch me kick his ass all over the place. They're pretty tolerable up there, but I don't even like having neighbors like that. So that's just me, and I want you to know something else. Israel just announced that they plan to kill people all the way down into Egypt. How's that going to work out for them? And it says, Israel says Gaza offensive will move into Rafah. Okay. In the Gaza military campaign for Rafah, the Israel Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said, despite the huge number of Palestinians and the civilians there, they really don't give a damn. And they're going to zoom on in there and basically go over everybody that's a citizen, period. The world continues to watch, and hate continues to breed hate. So I'm letting you know that that is happening as massive arrests are going on today, right now. But the thing I want you to know that's many people don't pay attention to is Biden was busted for bribery. Okay, we got 14 articles of it. Everybody in the Senate that chewed out Zuckerberg yesterday, every senator is a complete liar phony. What do you mean by that, Chris? Well, they're like, oh, well, Facebook allows for all these dangerous people to approach your kid on the internet. Stop right there. Joe Biden allows all these dangerous people to approach my kid at school, and they're in my kid's school right now. And if you're a senator, all you had to do was back second Chuck Grassley, and we'd kick all these illegal aliens out of our country. So that means Ted Cruz is actually for this. That means Lindsey Graham is, Marsha Blackburn. See, because in the Constitution it says, and I got to let you wonder, well, what does the Senate do? The Senate has a very, very powerful position here, citizens of the United States. The Senate's sole responsibility is to impeach Jackwagon Joe, and they're not doing it. We have impeachment inquiry. We've had 14 distinct proofs of Article 2, Section 4 bribery being violated in the Constitution of the United States right here, okay? And Congress has demonstrated it without a fact. We've seen the checks. We've seen the balances. Only one senator is brought up to impeach Jackwagon Joe. When Carrie Lake makes it as a senator, she'll be the only other honest senator we have. So the problem is not TikTok. The problem is not Facebook. The problem is our Senate. And our Senate is allowing an open border. Then they come to us and they point at people and business organizations they have a problem with and say, look, it's all their fault. They're allowing dangerous people into our country. No, actually, you guys are, because you could impeach Joe Biden. It says the Senate's sole responsibility is to do impeachments. Huh. So that means that the people that are basically guilty for the open border, America, is your state senator for being in business with Joe Biden. Now, why would those senators be in business with Joe Biden? Oh, because he was a senator. Oh, and he was the longest senator, him. And so he's like the good old boy club, but the longest of the good old boy. I get it now. And he knew then probably when he was doing this Ukraine stuff, he probably gave all of his good old boys some money too. Huh. And as such, he didn't have to give them all money, just a majority of them. But I have a feeling they've all been purchased. Look at Menendez. We found his gold. He's still in there. Look at Dianne Feinstein. She dies in office, but they put 2 Democrat plants in there because anybody that's rational would have seconded the nomination for impeachment, and we would have Kamala in there, then we'd have a nation in pandemonium and a revote, and Trump would be back in within that week, and they know it. Pure and simple. Fraud was discovered. Mike Lindell, the colonels of the Department of Defense, purely exposed that. It's a fact. That's why Trump keeps on saying it, because our country has been stolen by Smartmatic Dominion, which is also Vanguard BlackRock. Those are the people getting funded. Those are the shadow agencies that go all the way back to killing Kennedy and killing all the leaders in Africa, all the way back to the days of Haile Selassie, all the way back to the days of even killing Bob Marley. CIA killed Bob Marley. No, they didn't. Yes, actually, you'd have to read the whole book, but I'm very good friends with a lot of Bob Marley's actual friends throughout his life on the island of Jamaica. Really, it's pretty neat. Guy that did all of his albums and album covers. He went to the University of North Texas, and it was pretty awesome getting to know the fastest man in Jamaica. And through all that in the book, we learned that the son of the CIA's director gave Bob a pair of soccer shoes, and it stubbed him on his big toe. And then through that needle, gave him a systematic cancer, which killed him. You mean the CIA does those type of things, Chris? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do. See, we don't know the truth about JFK, but George Bush Sr. was there. LBJ was there. And so I tell you, when we have these great candidates that have run for vice president, it's not like DeSantis would not be a good vice president, and he's proven himself right now. But the problem is there's a huge LBJ factor. What's the LBJ factor, Chris? They swore LBJ in when Kennedy's body was still warm on an airplane in Love Field Airport in Dallas, Texas, right after he was assassinated by the FBI, most likely, or CIA, who knows. That's the LBJ JFK factor. Can't have it around my oranges, so we got to protect the crops, so to speak. Chip Roy is probably the only, I'm going to sit there and say the state of Texas. You've got all these reps. All of them suck except for this guy. Maybe Pete Sessions and him. I like guys that do their job that are loud, and you just hear of a few congressmen that are loud. So it's like, that's why I was looking at South Dakota too, because you only got one, and all you got some nerdy child that's a yes man that's just trying to basically take all your cryptocurrency. Chip Roy, he's at least a soldier, and he's been defending our border. He would also have been a good speaker. He's got a little bit more moxie than most, but I'm telling you something, we have been invaded, and it's going to be an early spring, says the groundhog, so hold tight and let's listen to what's going on here. It's an update right now.
As Congress debates changes in immigration policy, there's a new focus at the heart of the migrant crisis.
I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
There are decisions yet to come. So let the president make his decisions. Let him weigh these options, and then we'll act.
President Trump vowed to shut down the border with Mexico using almost the identical language that the president used on Friday. Many, if not most, if not practically all Democrats called that xenophobic and even racist. Why shouldn't people make the same conclusion about this president's threat to shut down the entire border with Mexico?
So we believe new enforcement tools that currently don't exist, that will be, we believe that will be part of this bipartisan agreement, will be fair. We believe it'll be tough, but it will be fair.
But he didn't say he wanted to use, excuse me, sorry to interrupt. He didn't say, on day one, I will use enhanced enforcement to improve the processing of people at the border. He said, I will shut the border down.
I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
Which suggests a total rejection of all people attempting to cross the border without a visa or without proper authorization.
Yeah, no,
so why isn't that the same thing that Trump did?
No, I understand your question. What I'm saying to you, the new enforcement tools, right, that we believe that do not currently exist, that will be part of this bipartisan agreement. There are different definitions, right, of what that looks like, of what actually shutting down the border looks like, right? So we're going to let.
Okay, I'm going to bring us a special update. Thanks, Mom, for bringing this in. We have begun our retaliatory airstrikes in Syria. They're underway, happening as we speak right now. So our hearts and prayers are with all of our troops. We're going with the air, doing a ground and pound, and then later on, we are actually going after everybody that killed our guys. And Joe Biden knows that the responsibility of 12 people are on his hands right now. So prayers to our troops as we go after the people that went after us. As you can see, even in Iraq from Syria, but we're hitting hard in Syria. And then everybody that basically hit us in Iraq and at the base, we're going to be going after them. We see where they retreated off to, and right now we're getting them as they retreat. And I pray that you destroy all your targets in the name of the Sanders family. You don't go after a Sanders without us not hunting you back down. So do it for Sanders out there, and I'll give you a steak dinner when you come out here to Texas or Oklahoma, okay? Just meet up with me and you can bring me some pictures. But God bless you out there. As far as everybody that's, USO, we're streaming out there on the Armed Forces Network. We are basically grounding and pounding right now. We have retaliatory airstrikes that are going on as we speak. And we're hitting them hard, actually, simultaneously. We like to do what's called a triangular air raid. And so we basically will be going in triangle air raids all around through there. We just did a deal with Saudi Arabia. This was an immediate deal, and it was a security pact with MBS. I didn't think that the airstrike would go in within hours afterwards, but I also heard that they would try to get the people that were still in Iraq that were retreating that had our base camps. So I'm glad that we did that, because we can't let people get by with hurting our U.S. troops. Everybody that hurts a U.S. troop deserves to get deserves to meet their maker, period. So if you attack us, understand we're going to attack you, and I'm glad that's something that happened. But at the same time, after they do that retaliatory strike, I know we're going to leave a strike force there because that was negotiated with MBS, but we do need to bring everybody else home. I showed you on video yesterday how Biden knew and had this planned from the beginning, because he knows how long it would take to withdraw everybody. So this keeps his foot in the game, and we can't have him in the game at all right now. We have just wicked wars that are going on right now, and as such, we have Iran immediately then responding. And he's been given aid and packages from Russia and from China. So there you go. And then we also have basically people that are going to lie to us. This is old footage probably of him going down some stairs, because, I hope he's not going around anywhere without his life alert. Him and Lloyd Austin, they need it. And we are going into it. He's basically dragging us into a war. The Ayatollah is basically saying it. And he's lined up MBS. And that was a smart move for Israel, because now Saudi Arabia stands with the United States out there. And that was just done not too long ago. I want you to know, on the other side of things, this government's not only trying to start a war over there, they're trying to do one at our border hardcore. We have convoys that take our border back, but if you're not deputized, do not do anything. And make sure that if you are, you're listening to the advice of the sheriff. Do not do anything on your own. This government's going to try to use it as a January 6th so that they can do a habeas corpus, basically go into martial law, steal all of our National Guards for us. And what would allow them to do that is if we slip up and start shooting illegal aliens, let them do it. Of course, they're doing it so late, we've already got 10 to 30 million illegal aliens in the country already. And it doesn't look good for us anyway. We slice it or dice it. I wish it did. So this is something pretty cool on Timcast, but we had Brandon Strzok make it onto Timcast. Congratulations. And basically they're going over it too. What they're talking about here, which is pretty interesting, is how they're going to let illegal immigrants into the military so that these people that just came over the border can sign up to work in our military. That's about the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard. But we have so many kids that are here that are on drugs, but I think our government's getting rid of them at a record pace. Now, this is scary. This is a Georgia senator, state senator. He goes into his own airport in Atlanta, Georgia. Then he finds more people. Then he's kicked out by somebody in the military, and this is a state senator. Okay, so this is pretty major stuff. They're in all of our airports. Real America's Voice exposed this up in Chicago. Look at this.
Yeah, so these are just recently documented travelers getting released from ICE, getting to where they need to be.
No, just let me get a video if you don't.
Actually, you cannot get a video.
No.
You cannot get a video.
No, you're not allowed.
You're not allowed. You're done.
Did you hear that? Documented travelers joining us right now, Georgia State Senator Colton Moore. So I'm confused because I'm going to read this statement later on in the segment. But the person that you were speaking to said that they were documented, and we know that they were illegal, right?
Yeah, we got a whistleblower who gave us a tip about this hidden room, and I had a full team there with some different cameras in different places. Said on Monday and Tuesday nights, there's just an influx of these people who come through the airport, kind of when the traffic is much lower at the airport. They were in a hidden room. I was talking to an Atlanta Police Department investigator yesterday. There are absolutely no cameras in this area of the airport. If you watch another part of the video, you'll see that there's some barricades and some caution tape before you get there. It kind of looks like a construction zone, if you will.
So can you explain to me, because, airport's supposed to be one of the most secure locations. There's cameras everywhere. Is this inside of the terminals or outside of the terminals?
This is, I believe it's technically the third floor, but it appears as if it's the second floor in the domestic terminal. Our whistleblower says they walk right out of the gates and then they're escorted into this room. Those people in that room, though, they were waiting to be booked to flights all across the United States. We were also getting video of migrants who were just walking out onto the streets of Atlanta.
And who's guarding the door?
So there was a U.S. Army soldier there at the door, the guy who says, "You're done." He is a United States soldier. We still not sure exactly what his role was there, but he was sitting right next to the door and basically assaulted me in order to take the phone and try, to get rid of the footage. I was able to recover the phone, and that's the footage you see there.
This is crazy. What's going on here?
I don't know. There's a lot of questions to be answered. I hope the Georgia Senate will flex its subpoena authority and start bringing some folks from the airport in and getting answers to these questions.
Have you yet been able to get in contact with Governor Kemp about this? I can just imagine that he's not too happy about what's going on. I think this is the largest airport in the nation.
Yeah, it is. It's the busiest airport in the world. The Governor Kemp and I are at a lot of odds on this issue with
In your first NFL season and a record-setting performance for you, what does this moment mean?
I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for as short as I've been. But first and foremost, I just want to give all glory and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's been amazing being
In your first NFL season and a record-setting performance for you, what does this moment mean?
First and foremost, I just want to give all glory and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for as short as I've been, but the love that I've got, I've really just been doing it for Houston, man. People back home, I'm blessed enough being in the position I am, and blessed enough to be playing at a high level right now, and we got to just keep it going, but I'm super blessed.
In your first NFL season and a record-setting performance for you, what does this moment mean?
I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for as short as I've been, but
Some of you might be wondering why I showed you that. I wanted to show you that the NFL is evil. That's true. He just gave his praise to the Lord Jesus Christ as far as why he succeeded and why he was winning a game, and the NFL scrubbed that. Why did they scrub that? Isn't that amazing? They scrubbed it. They scrubbed it because of this. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you've done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. And in addition to all of this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. We are fighting principalities and evil in high places. If you're a policeman out there, this message is for you. This is everything that it takes to be a policeman today. So I think you should be aware of these requirements. A policeman is a composite of what all men are. The mingling of a saint and sinner, dust and deity. Gold statistics wave the fan over the stinkers, underscore instances of dishonesty and brutality because they are new. What they really mean is that they are exceptional, unusual, not commonplace. Buried under the frost is the fact less than 0.5% of policemen misfit the uniform, and that's a better average than you'd find amongst the clergy. What is a policeman made of? He, all of men, is once the most needed and most unwanted. He's a strangely nameless creature who is, sir, to his face, and fuzz, pig, to his back. He must be such a diplomat that he can settle differences between individuals so that each will think he won. But if the policeman is neat, he's conceited. If he's careless, he's a bum. If he's pleasant, he's flirting. If not, he's a grouch. He must make an instant decision which would require months for a lawyer to make. But if he hurries, he's careless. If he's deliberate, he's lazy. He must be there first to an accident and unfailable with his diagnosis. He must be able to start breathing, stop bleeding, tie splints, and above all, be sure the victim goes home without a limp or expect to be sued. The police officer must know every gun, draw on the run, and hit where it doesn't hurt. He must be able to whip two men twice his size and half his age without damaging his uniform and without being brutal. If you hit him, he's a coward. If he hits you, he's a bully. The policeman must know everything and not tell. He must know where all the sin is and not partake. A policeman must, from a single strand of hair, be able to describe the crime, a weapon, and the criminal, and yet tell you where the criminal is hiding. But if he catches the criminal, he's lucky. If he doesn't, he's a dunce. If he gets promoted, he has political pull. If he doesn't, he's a dullard. The policeman must chase a bum, lead to a dead end, strike out 10 nights to a tag, one witness who saw it happen but refused to remember. The policeman must be a minister, a social worker, a diplomat, a tough guy, and a gentleman. And of course, he'd have to be a genius, for he would have to feed his entire family on a policeman's salary. These are the governors that stand with the state of Texas here behind me, Ron DeSantis, as we pray for the police officers and members of each state as they go down there to defend the state of Texas. We have slipped back into the days that predate all of us. This isn't a 1776 moment. This is an 1861 through 1865 moment. And for those of you that don't know, those were the days of the Civil War. When I go to Santa Monica, I stay in a guy's house who actually shot President Lincoln. He was some famous actor from California. All it makes me think of is the fact that we need to put more resources into protecting President Trump, because if anything should happen, where will we be? Two governors have stood up to the plate, Ron DeSantis being one, Kristi Noem being the other. And my heart and my prayers are sincerely with the state of Texas and for every state that listens to the Constitution as we drift into something the liberals want us to drift into, civil war. They preach it. They talk about it every day. And the message gets more and more serious. Joe Biden asks for power. If he doesn't have power, then take him out of office.
Oh, you shut the border down only if you get more than 5,000 illegal aliens a day. Well, that's 1.8 million a year, 1.8 million a year that you're just saying is fine, that's an acceptable amount of illegal entries. To me, the only acceptable amount of illegal entries is 0. And that's what our policy should reflect.
Thank you to my fellow governors. Half of America now is standing against the Biden administration, also more than a majority of all the attorneys general across the country. Biden is not taking on Texas. Biden is taking on the United States of America.
Greg Abbott is once again challenging federal authorities on the border. He's saying Texas has a right to self-defense because he believes the federal government is not doing enough.
Most incumbents don't lose elections. They get fired, and they get fired because they're doing a bad job. As you talked about, the immigration system and the border issue is the primary issue in America right now.
The Supreme Court is siding with President Biden in a dispute with Texas over the border.
A Supreme Court ruling is giving the federal government more flexibility here at the southern border. The justices ruling Monday that Border Patrol can cut and remove about 30 miles of razor wire installed along the Rio Grande by the state of Texas, escalating a political battle between President Biden and Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Texas National Guard soldiers putting up more razor wire in Eagle Pass to increase border security, despite the federal government allowing border agents to remove or cut.
Talk about the lies.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to yield to the gentleman from Florida for 4 minutes, Mr. Posey.
The gentleman from Florida, Mr. Posey, is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentleman from Alabama for yielding and for bringing forth this great bill to protect Americans. Over the last few days, I've heard more lies about the immigration crisis at our southern border than any other issue since Obamacare. You remember Obamacare? We promised that you could keep your own insurance company, promised you could keep your own doctor, promised it would cost less. All lies, but the lies about immigration are even greater this year. This week I heard a member cross the aisle in an apparent theatric and disingenuous gesture of goodwill falsely refer to me as being his friend, as he hurled lie after lie, denigrating my colleagues and me.
Good job.
Although I do have friends on the other side of the aisle, that's not my kind of friend.
Good. Sarah Sanders.
Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders joins me now. Governor, why is it so hard to deport people who don't belong here, who kick cops and drive drunk and steal my grandma's Social Security number?
Because we have a president who absolutely doesn't care that millions and millions of people are coming across our border illegally. He has the power to shut the border down, to stop it. He can reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy. He could actually build the wall. There are a lot of things that he could be doing. And this simply is a complete and total failure by this administration. In the state of Arkansas alone, we seized enough fentanyl in the last year to kill every single person in our entire state. That's nearly 3 million people, every man, woman, and child. Enough fentanyl just in this state alone. It is an absolute disgrace what this president is doing, and it's another great example while in November he has to go and Donald Trump has to be put back in place so we can secure our border and get our country back.
Do you think Joe Biden loves this country?
If he did, he certainly wouldn't be trying to destroy it.
Sarah, you're so classy. You know, she wants to say, hell no, come on. And as far as that, I'm going to, again, Nation, you're going to have to forgive me. She's this one coming up here. She's just, I'm going to bring up Wonder Woman. In fact, you know, I'd love to be working with her. My God, she's hard to look at. Kristi Noem here. As she, man, I'm telling you, she could go down there in a Harley with the gun and deal with it herself.
Matter of grave importance to the people of South Dakota and to the United States of America. It is no secret that our country is being overwhelmed with en masse illegal immigration. Nearly 10 million foreign nationals have broken federal law, and they've infiltrated our country within the past 3 years, bringing with them drugs, trafficking, crime, and violence. Our immigration system has long been a subject of discussion in this country, but the politics of this administration has elevated this to a national security crisis. Our history is proudly built on the stories of our ancestors who came to this country for opportunity and for a new beginning. But today, many of those who are entering our country under the current policies of the Biden administration are known terrorists. They're criminals. They're human traffickers and they're drug cartel members. Because the federal government's facilitating this violation of our federal law, vulnerable people from over 100 different countries have heard the story of our open border. They put their families in jeopardy, and they've fallen victim to the atrocities of the Mexican cartels. Countries such as Venezuela are known to be emptying out their prisons and their mental institutions, and they're sending them to America. They're happy to let our open border be the solution to their problems and their responsibilities. Now, we are a nation of laws, and our leaders should respect those laws. South Dakota is directly affected by this.
Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a funny comparison. So I'm just like here and I'm like, is she kind of pretty or what? Or is it just me? I think this governor here is relatively beautiful. And, you know, it makes a lot of housewives out there, you know, hate their other side. So I'm going to tell you who I hate at home. You know who I hate at home? Everybody's got one. No kidding. I hate Jeff Goldblum. Yep, that's because, you know, Mrs. Sanders got something for that guy and whatever. So, you know, we can all have our thing. So that being the case, you know, Jeff Goldblum, whatever, I'll just talk about Kristi Noem. So there we go. And I just wanted you to know, better not be stopping by my house, MrHotels.com. Okay, on the other side of things, I want you to know that Hungary is like, why are we perpetuating something that is not going to happen? He can know, everybody knows Putin's won this thing. Every little bit of scrap that we send to the Ukraine is nothing but fraud. And as we put nuclear ordinances in the Ukraine, all it does is piss everybody in Europe off. How would you feel when Putin starts loading up Cuba full of stuff, nuclear missiles, and Xi Jinping starts loading up Venezuela and El Salvador, knowing that they're closer in our backyard? Because that's the new plan. Jackwagon Joe wants to do that with Burisma and all this bioweapons and bioterrorism. We know it's true. It's not like we don't feel terrorized here at home. What's that mean, Chris? Well, Dr. John Campbell's told us about the radical deaths going on here, and I've told you about how we've got basically more probate courts throughout the nation because of the record amount of deaths, but they want to keep on pumping it. And if you want it pumped out more, make sure you watch the Super Bowl as we have the San Francisco 49ers going against Mahomes' team. But there's the cloak and dagger thing there basically with Taylor Swift and Kelsey, and they're going to try to sell you a vaccine. I'm not one for thinking she's some psyop for vice president, that's pretty hilarious. That's like, well, why don't you just team her up with Miley Cyrus and call it a day? Anyways, yeah, don't have a snowball's chance in the world as far as pulling that one off. What I want to talk about more than anything is we need different leaders. This guy is killing people over there left and right, and he's making kids at the border suffer. Again, I want you to think about the 25,000 people that have been murdered that had nothing to do with this war. I want you to think about how Joe Biden, I showed you yesterday, gave an extra $150 million to the organization that was linked to the October 7th terrorist act. That means everybody that's dying in Palestine's innocent. And that means that we're allowing it to happen. It's a property grab. They put white phosphorus all over the area. We've contaminated Gaza for at least 100 years. And the person that is responsible is Jackwagon Joe. And this government used January 6th as a way to scare you and I and every other American to where we wouldn't dare stand up for our rights. And we watched Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Mike Pence together in tandem steal the country. Mike Pence actually had dreams of becoming president, not knowing that nobody really gave a rat's ass about that scumbag. And like I'm going to tell you here, Israel will crumble. The Safety Act also for the state of Illinois is going to tear it apart. And it is very real stuff, and I wanted you to know that. So these migrants are allowed to just rip you off left and right, and I couldn't believe it, but you got to hear it.
Migrants were charged with burglaries in DuPage County. Casey Cronus is live in Oak Brook tonight. Casey.
Hey, Anthony and Dawn. In both cases, the thieves were using devices to try and trick the store's security systems. Now, officials are investigating whether the incidents are connected. In a crowded Oak Brook shopping center, prosecutors say two men from Venezuela were caught stealing $750 in clothing from Macy's. When police tried to stop them, one of the men refused, trying to get away before he was brought to the ground and handcuffed.
They went in with a foil-lined bag, which again is designed to defeat the theft detection system that is installed at the store.
One day earlier, on Black Friday, three migrants, also from Venezuela, who've been living in Waukegan, allegedly took $500 worth of merchandise from Kohl's in Elmhurst. In that case, they were carrying a large magnet to thwart the store's anti-theft devices. All five people were arrested and charged, but DuPage County State's Attorney Robert Berlin says under the Safety Act, all but one of those offenders has been released.
Judges have very limited discretion in detaining.
So we need to fire all these judges, these liberal judges, let these punks out. This is happening in every single state. Again, the Safety Act is letting all these punks out in the state of Illinois. They're letting them out in New York. They're making a constitutional violation. As such, the judges and everybody that's upholding this needs to be arrested. What do I mean by that? This is the supreme law of the land. The first paragraph talks about the general welfare, the tranquility, the common defense. Our common defense and tranquility and general welfare has been destroyed by the open border, not just the open border, but the open invitation to come in. Then the change laws which give them carte blanche the right to rob us. This is me with my drilling rigs and my buddy Joseph Keating. See, I don't want to drill for the King of Saudi anymore. And my buddy right here behind me, who I was training to be my vice president, died from a bad Oxycontin pill. And I hold the government responsible. When I went to the hospital room, there was a whole second floor of people. Most of them were kids in high school. And I was like, what is this? The nurse said they came in all this morning and there's nobody we can save. They're just grieving parents. My friend Joey was suffering for 3 days in a coma before he died. This is very real. This is hitting industry professionals. He's an oil man. There's a lot of people that can't be employed because of these things. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. I've lost several friends because of this open door from China. They've just hacked our water systems from coast to coast. We are being left unprotected. It's not just the border this poison's coming in from. It's the container ships that's hitting every single port of entry. When is enough enough? I want you to see this beautiful friend of mine that died. And let it just serve as a reminder that it's hitting us all here at home. Joseph Keating is the nephew of Senator, now Congressman Bill Keating. Bill Keating and Joe Biden have been friends together for a good 40 years in Congress. So Jack Wagon Joe, this has hit home. This has hit home because you've known Joey your whole life too. And these open doors have killed our friends and our family. I pray for all of our children, and that's why I'm doing this. I've had enough of losing. We need to close the doors, and we need to rebuild the back America and make America great again. Anyways, I miss you, Joey. And I'm sure I'll be seeing you soon. We all will. Amen.